Well, a happy Victory Sunday to you and yours. Glad you could be here with me on December 22nd. Week 16 of this NFL regular season is currently underway, but it began on Thursday. It continued yesterday, and then, of course, it will finish up tomorrow. Happy holidays to you and yours. Today's live stream is brought to you by my friends at Preston Automotive Group. More on them in just a bit. You have until tomorrow, by the way, to hit me up on Instagram, follow a couple accounts, and literally tag a friend to enter the free ticket giveaway, which of course is for 2 tickets to the regular season finale between the Ravens and Browns inside the bank. You can go find me on Instagram at Bobby Baltimore to enter if you haven't already done so. I currently have the split screen up past my camera. So I've got Browns and Bengals on one, and then Eagles and Commanders on the other. I'm not saying that the Cincinnati Cleveland game is compelling. I mean, Dorian Thompson-Robinson is under center for Cleveland, and they're 3-11. But the Bengals still are holding on for essentially a glimmer of hope to make the postseason at 6-8, and it's sure looking like they're going to improve to 7-8 if they can hang on, barring something unforeseen. And then over on the Philadelphia side of things, they're putting a smackdown on the Commanders. But as this NFL rushing title starts to kind of shake out here and get down to the wire, it sure looks like, despite an unbelievable performance from Derrick Henry yesterday against the Steelers, I think Saquon Barkley's going to run away with this thing. I mean, the guy's already got, and there are 3 or 4 minutes left in the third quarter right now. He's got 22 carries for 133 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's averaging 6 per carry. So he's going to run away with that thing. But honestly, the Ravens have bigger fish to fry. Former NFL quarterback Alex Smith sent this morning on NFL Countdown a message to the AFC about these surging Ravens. So we'll discuss that. Former Raven Patrick Queen unloaded post-game last night, just unloaded all of his frustrations. Those were some interesting comments. We'll play those for you. Justin Tucker spoke with the media post-game, and I thought shared some interesting thoughts of his when it comes to usage and how Jordan Stout, who's the punter, has actually been getting some run, and he's the placeholder, of course. Had an unbelievable catch, by the way. Corralled that errant snap, I should say, from Nick Moore on that 51-yard field goal try that Justin nailed on a blustery day, mind you. But Jordan has now been being used in recent weeks handling kickoff duties. And so in a sense, they're taking a little bit off of Justin Tucker's plate. And as a competitor, obviously that's an adjustment, especially given how long he's been around. So he commented on that post game. And there's a few other things that we'll discuss as well, including where things stand right now when you look at the AFC playoff picture. And that's what we'll address right off the top here, because, again, I know these games, a lot of these teams are currently playing as we are live, but entering the day, this is what the AFC playoff picture looked like, a graphic courtesy of ESPN. The Chiefs, of course, having beaten the Texans yesterday, improved to 14-1, still with their sights set, that top overall seed, home field advantage, and all that good stuff along the way. The Bills, currently 11-3, the 2 seed. Pittsburgh drops to 10-5, and they will next play the Kansas City Chiefs on Christmas Day, which should be a very significant game. Houston would be the 4 seed right now and play host to the Ravens like they're about to do on Wednesday, Christmas Day. Texans are 9-6, reeling though, especially having lost Tank Dell, who had a very, very serious knee injury, was hospitalized overnight. I wish him the best. The Ravens are surging right now. And as we discussed a couple weeks ago coming out of the bye, Sarah and I kind of tasked ourselves with predicting the last 4 games, meaning, simply put, would they run the table or potentially drop 1 or 2? And at the time, I confidently said 3-1. 3 wins and 1 loss. I'm now not so confident. They have come out of this bye surging. They are playing as good as anybody across the league right now, and they're peaking at the right time. They're relatively healthy. All 3 phases are contributing. And they're coming off a game against their bitter rival where they were penalized just 2 times for 10 yards. And we all know that that's an area that has plagued them throughout much of this season. Don't look now. I would not be surprised if they run the table, win the AFC North, and as a result, enter wild card weekend, boy, as one of the hottest teams in this entire league. You want to take a look at analytics-wise, percentage-wise, the chances of taking that AFC North crown? Evan Kaplan of ESPN did exactly that earlier this morning.
Ross is right. You look at these percentages, both teams are 10-5, but the Steelers still have a better chance to win the AFC North, 53% compared to 47% for the Ravens. Here's why. It goes all the way to conference record. The tiebreaker right now, Steelers have a better one. So let's play this out. If the Steelers win at home against the Chiefs and the Bengals, you got 100%. They win the division. If you're the Ravens, look at this. Steelers only have a 44% chance to win. So if they lose that game, the Ravens win out. Now Baltimore is the AFC North champ. And guys, with both teams playing divisional games in Week 18, as the entire NFL does, this division is going to come down to the final week of the season. It cannot be clinched in Week 17.
In other news, I know you guys might not love this, but you should be Chiefs fans going into Christmas Day because they need to take down the Steelers if the Ravens want a little bit of help and still hang on to the hopes of taking a second consecutive AFC North title. The current wild card teams as things stand right now, the Ravens, Chargers, and Broncos in the hunt, Colts, Dolphins, and Bengals. Again, Cincinnati putting the finishing touches on this win at home right now over Cleveland, 17-6, 3rd and 6, and DTR is picked off by Geno Stone. So that game, you can put a seal on that one. DTR throws a pick with just over 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Geno Stone, his 3rd straight game with a pick, his 2nd against Cleveland this season, all but finishes that one up, meaning Cincinnati would improve to 7-8 and continue to chip away at what is a very unlikely scenario, but they are not mathematically out of the postseason yet. And that is a look at your AFC playoff picture, the way it looked entering today. It won't look like that in just a couple hours once these 1 o'clock games finish up. And again, I want to continue to follow this Eagles-Commanders game because as Saquon continues to put on a show, well, he's getting closer and closer to an NFL rushing title. The Ravens are getting closer and closer to, it feels like, peak performance. And these two dudes, man, they were awfully close to peak performance last night, if not at their peak performances. Lamar threw 3 passing touchdowns. He finished with a quarterback rating of 115.4. The King and the soon-to-be 31-year-old running back, 162 yards on the ground. He averaged 6.8 yards per carry. Guys, he's averaging 5.9 on the season. That is a career high. He is loving every second of this, I would imagine. And I'm old enough to remember Week 11 last month. He had a tough showing against the Steelers in that 18-16 loss. There was not a lot of push up front, and it didn't come as easy as it did last night. A reporter asked him from NFL Network post-game yesterday what the difference was. I chuckled at his response.
160 rushing yards today, about 100 yards more than you had last time against these guys a few weeks ago. What was the difference today?
The guys blocking, just doing their job for me to do mine. Give the credit to the O-line, tight ends, receivers doing a great job blocking. That was the emphasis this week, and they did a great job.
So, did you guys catch that? What was the difference? Guys blocking. As if to say, there wasn't a whole lot of that in Week 11 because we were outmanned in the trenches. He didn't say that. Perhaps he was thinking it. How could you not think it? TJ Watt, Nick Herbig, bunch of game wreckers for the Steelers in Week 11. That was not the case yesterday, aside from a breakdown in pass pro from Ronnie Stanley that allowed that strip sack opportunity for Alex Highsmith and a couple other situations. It was a clean game, and I thought Roger Rosengarten deserves a ton of credit. I know TJ Watt was far from 100%, but the rookie continues to stack games, and I'll have a comment on Roger in just a second before we shift gears to the defensive side of this live stream. Lamar's 37 touchdown passes. That is a single season career high, eclipsing his 2019 record of 36. He continues to put on just electrifying performance after electrifying performance. This, of course, followed up another Jackson 5 last weekend in the Meadowlands, and he gets the monkey off his back. That's what he said post-game with Aaron Andrews. Just 2 players have tallied up 37 passing touchdowns and 4 picks in a season. Aaron Rodgers did so in 2021 and went on to win the Most Valuable Player award. And Lamar this year, who is not the betting favorite, that continues to be Josh Allen. And we'll see if things change over the next couple weeks. The pendulum could very well shift. Lamar's got another big moment coming up on Wednesday. And, of course, Josh Allen and the Bills take on what? The Jets and the Patriots twice between now and the end of the regular season. So it's not over yet, but it does seem as if there's quite a few voters who have claimed that this thing is over for weeks now. And Dan Orlovsky is at the top of that list. Former NFL QB Alex Smith, as I mentioned at the top and made this video about, had some interesting things to say this morning on Sunday NFL Countdown. And this was the message that he sent based on what he's seen from these Ravens recently.
The Ravens have the 3rd best chance to win the AFC, according to our analytics. The Chiefs and Bills at the top, and despite Kansas City improving to 14-1 yesterday, they are barely ahead of Buffalo in terms of their chance to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. So those are the chances right now to win the AFC championship. So let's give credit where it is due. I asked Rex last week, should the Ravens be in this discussion? You said you give them a 33% chance, same as Buffalo and Kansas City. Do the Ravens look like a team to you right now that should be in the discussion with KC and Buffalo?
Absolutely. I think they're the scariest team in the AFC. They're the most complete team. Again, I mentioned the way their defense has played the last 6-8 weeks. Vastly improved from the beginning of the year. And then this offense is an absolute juggernaut. 220 yards against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. The Pittsburgh Steelers defense was 4th best in the NFL against the run. I mean, Derrick Henry ran for 7 yards a carry. And it wasn't a bunch of the QB-driven run game that we used to see. It's this. Under center, just hand off. And, I mean, look out. Like, I thought this was a statement win. I mean, these division games are so competitive and tight. And, again, I know it was for a little bit, but to kind of blow it away there in the second half, 34-17.
A statement win, referring to this group as the scariest team in the NFL. Nothing we haven't heard before throughout the last couple of years with Lamar. But a big statement entering crunch time. And, of course, a Week 17 game with the Houston Texans. It's a standalone game at 4:30 on Netflix come Christmas Day. Now, maybe, just maybe, they're super scary because their quarterback threw for 3 passing touchdowns. Their running back ran for over 160 yards. And their wide receiver put up 100 spot through the air. And that is Zay Flowers, who in his sophomore campaign, now through 15 games, that's all he needed to hit the 1,000-yard threshold. Perhaps Pro Bowl bound for the first time in his young career. 5 catches, 100 receiving yards. And, of course, the quote that he made post-game, they say you ain't a Raven till you beat the Steelers. I guess I'm a Raven now. That is the Raven way. That is a lifestyle. And that is an expectation the second you join that group. You are not a Baltimore Raven until you beat the Steelers. Well, Zay Flowers, write that in ink. Big-time performance from him. He continues to play with a relentlessness, a savvy, an intensity, a tenacity that I think is contagious. His yak ability, the improv that he and Lamar do so well together. It was on full display yesterday. And those were game-high numbers, by the way, from Zay. 8 targets. That long of 49, of course, was electric and a great throw dropped in there by Lamar. 5 receptions, 100 yards receiving, a game high in both areas. And I mentioned the young rook a minute ago, and I think it warrants repeat. Roger Rosengarten has been at right tackle for the majority of this season. And when they moved on to him, I know his first NFL snap, he's certainly not going to want to remember. Max Crosby will probably remember it, or maybe it's just routine stuff for Max Crosby because of how much of a game wrecker he is. Was it Myles Garrett or Max Crosby? Now I'm forgetting. Anywho, his first snap obviously left a lot to be desired. And I think since then, you've seen a player who's developed, you've seen a player who's matured, and who last night had a TJ Watt assignment. And while Watt was not anywhere near 100%, given his ankle issue from the week prior, that's still better than most. And Jeff noting here on X that Watt was limited to just 4 tackles, no sacks, no quarterback hits. Before that, he had at least a half sack against the Ravens in 11 straight games, racking up 16 sacks throughout that span. So that's an impressive performance from Roger. And I think the entire offensive line deserves credit because there were open lanes and windows for Derrick Henry to run and take advantage of. And he certainly did that. Again, this is a stout Pittsburgh front. The kind of front that has given the Ravens fits, along with the Clevelands, the Vegases, the Kansas Cities, so on and so forth. But I think Roger deserves a whole lot of credit. And as a rookie, it just begs the question, man, how much more does this guy have to show us? Because if he's putting on this kind of show this early on in his career, expectations are going to be sky high and deservedly so. Today is brought to you by my friends at Preston Automotive Group. And at Preston, Bobby Baltimore subscribers receive 2 exclusive offers. $500 towards a new or pre-owned vehicle, or when you buy 4 tires, you'll receive 50% off your alignment. When you go to the show notes or the live chat where I currently have a pinned comment, if you click on that link, it'll bring you to PrestonMotor.com and my specific landing page. And you'll see you can contact their site operator, Sandy, via DM if you so choose. You'll get reminded of the deals that I just mentioned. Again, $500 towards a new or pre-owned vehicle or the tire deal. You can also contact them by filling out this form, pizza cake. And maybe most fun, most notably, you can search vehicles by make, model, or keyword. You can break it down category by category based on your pricing preference, vehicle condition, year, make, location. I've been working with the Randallstown dealership just north of Baltimore. I love working with Preston. I love their mobile service feature that they have, which you can find right here under service and parts. And I love how much they love the Ravens. There's just a fit between myself and them. They've got over 2,000 vehicles to shop from. I am a brand ambassador, as are Kyle Hamilton and Mark Andrews. Many more throughout Baltimore and beyond choose Preston. You should consider doing so as well. You can get started today by visiting the show notes or just simply scan the QR code in the upper right-hand corner. Thank you to Preston for allowing me to whip around in my Bobby Baltimore vehicle, my Bobby Baltimore Bronco. And shout out Asmodeus. I should have brought Richard on today to talk about his experience with those heated seats. He came to the Be More Around Town tailgate yesterday, and we're walking out together, and I'm like, do you want to ride to the game? He's like, sure. So he pops in the car. He's got Jell-O shots in his hands. He's got booze. He's got cookies that somebody left me. He's got a cigar in his hand. He's looking like $1 million. And I proceeded to tool him right over to the stadium. Shout out Richard. Asmodeus. So it should be said that while obviously 34 points is 34 points, 7 of those came from a defensive effort. And Marlon Humphrey had himself a day. His first pick 6 He's having an all-pro season. And this was a massive momentum-shifting play, obviously, in the second half. The first came in the first half from Ardarius Washington, his running mate, who put an unbelievable hit stick on Russell Wilson. And I got to tell you, there's something that I just adore about Ardarius. He plays with a certain level of undrafted pride that just oozes from him that makes him so easy to like. He's so easy to root for. And make no mistake, the Marlon Humphrey play is massive. But I might stick my neck out there, honestly, and refer to Ardarius as maybe, just maybe, the player of the game. And the play, specifically, of the game. He's an undersized thumper. Again, he's got undrafted pride. Physicality just oozes from him. And he's unafraid of the moment. And without question, since he and Kyle Hamilton moved to the back end, Marcus Williams was benched. Eddie Jackson was cut. Trenton Simpson was demoted. Michael Pierce got back healthy in the interior part. This is a group that's playing like they know they can hold you to under 20 points consistently. I thought Justin Madubuike had a standout game. The box score certainly suggests that. 7 total tackles, 4 of which were solo, a half sack, 2 tackles for loss, and a quarterback hit. Kyle Hamilton and Roquan Smith led the way, by the way, with tackles with 10 and 8 respectively total, 5 of which were solo for each of them. Big Mike Pierce got a sack for a 10-yard loss at one point. Marlins' 6 picks now lead the AFC. It's the first defensive touchdown of the season, and of course, it's Marlins' first pick 6 of his career. And he's been around since 2017, which is hard to believe. So this was an admirable defensive performance, and they're certainly going to need to follow that up on Christmas Day when the Houston Texans, of course, play host to them at their place down south in Texas. They will be without Tank Dell, one of their standout wide receivers, who just had a horrible knee injury. Like the kneecap, I believe. Was it a dislocated kneecap? It looked horrible. I hope he's doing okay. That's a big deal, though, for them, being that he's not going to be available. Well, I'll tell you what. Former Raven, Patrick Queen, who, of course, left in free agency to join the Pittsburgh Steelers, had a whole lot to say post-game. He's had a whole lot to say throughout this entire process, most of which took place prior to the season beginning. And clearly, he's gone through an emotional roller coaster after the Ravens let him walk and didn't pay him. Well, his frustrations were about, at least last night, his frustrations were not related to what happened in Baltimore, but maybe, just maybe, it stung a little bit because of the way that they lost. And I'm sure you guys have been seeing the Baltimore banner captured photo circulating across the internet. Derrick Henry doing what he does best with a vicious stiff arm on Patrick Queen. Now, PQ, courtesy of @ASaunders_PGH on X, had this to say post-game once last night finished up.
Take a step back. You want to take a step forward. And you can't even be complacent. You can't even stay in the same spot. You got to get better. And that's simple. So, like I said earlier, we all got to take a moment, look in the mirror, and get better. Whatever standpoint that is of the game. Everybody's got to do their job, do it at a high level, and trust each other to make the plays that we're supposed to make. We're supposed to be in a certain position, we got to be in a certain position. It's that simple. Like, there's no excuse for us not to be doing our jobs at a high level and all the guys on the team. I don't even think it was trying to be smart. I think it was just trying to make a play for it. And just not trusting the teammates. So like I said, like the game's just late in the year. You got to be on one stream. You got to be on one accord. Everybody got to be doing their job at a high level. If teams doing our job at a high level, then shit gonna get ugly real quick with the teams that's coming up. So
we should
reinforce that. That's what needs to be done. Like everybody got to be held accountable. We all got to do our job, starting with me. Starting with the D-line, starting with the linebacker, starting with the back seven. Like it just we all got to be on one string. It can't be no one person. It can't be 10 people. It can't be 9 people. It got to be all 11 on the same string. If the offense turns over, we got to go get that shit back. It's on us to help this team win. So it's that simple. It's not even the Baltimore fact. It's just the fact, like, it's just sloppy football. I love the game too much for the shit that happened today to just fly by and pass. Like, it's just simple stuff that shouldn't be happening. So whatever we got to do coming this week, we got to do it. And it's no looking back. It's only moving forward.
Not exactly the best audio there captured, but I did transcribe it for you here. Quote, we've got to take a long look in the mirror and get better. If you're supposed to be in a certain position, you've got to be in a certain position. It's that simple. There's no excuse for us to not be doing our job at a high level. If we ain't doing our jobs at a high level, then shit's going to get ugly real quick with the team that's coming up. Teams, plural. And that is Kansas City and Cincinnati. It's not even Baltimore. It's just sloppy football, downplaying what the Ravens did in a sense. I love the game too much for the shit that happened today to fly by. A very frustrated Patrick Queen catching up with local media after last night. And again, after not only finding himself on the wrong end of this photograph that you see on the screen, courtesy of Baltimore Banner, but also in part responsible for what the Ravens did on the ground. 220 yards to be exact, 162 of which came from the King, and they gashed the Steelers. And by the way, this is a Steelers run defense that's typically stout, and certainly was stout the first time these two teams played in Week 11. But I think it speaks to how unrelenting Derrick Henry is as a physical specimen, and how much this offensive line showed up and showed out. But I know this fan base, if there's one thing for sure, this fan base spoke this image into existence. Did you not? This is what you guys wanted. And Christmas came early for you, didn't it? I think Kyle Van Noy would probably agree. Look at Chuck Smith. Looking real clean post-game, by the way, a.k.a. Dr. Rush, Ravens outside linebackers coach and a pass rush specialist. He gifted KVN something early as well for Christmas. And I'm glad he did, because for the first time in Kyle's decorated career, he is a double-digit sack getter. And look at the sweatshirt that Coach Smith gifted him. The double-digit sack club. Can we talk about Coach Smith's outfit first before we get into KVN? Because that man's looking clean. Corduroy type pants. They look like dress pants, but they cut off before you can see the bottom of them. Maybe they're like the capri type dress pants. In any event, they're real clean looking. The jacket, which is over the turtleneck, and it's a white turtleneck. And the hat, of course, just makes this entire outfit. Chuck Smith, ladies and gentlemen. That is a winter outfit for the ages. And that is somebody that looks like he wants to smoke a cigar. And I'd like to smoke a cigar with him. If he's not a cigar guy, let's go have an old fashioned together. I would love to pick your brain in terms of how you have transformed this group over the last couple of years. We know how dominant they were last year. They led the NFL in sacks. Led the NFL in points allowed, led the NFL in takeaways. And now this year, they're a top 5 group in sacks. And you lose Jadeveon Clowney. Adafe always having a career season. Kyle Van Noy is at 10.5 sacks right now. And that should be the story. Every championship caliber team, man, DNA-wise, needs a guy like Kyle Van Noy. Ray Lewis got it all started yesterday on X, putting up one of his classic photos, wrecking the Pittsburgh Steelers with the caption, hunting season. And who followed suit? KVN. Look at this photo captured by the Ravens department. Kyle finished with 5 total tackles, 2 of which were solo, a sack and a half, a tackle for loss. And this is one of his 3 quarterback hits. What a fantastic photo. Russell Wilson is airborne. KVN with perfect technique. Highly recommend checking out his podcast with Gerald McCoy on Yahoo Sports. They have been talking about this for a minute now, that 10 was within reach. And for the first time again in his career, the double-digit mark has been hit. He is 33 years old. He has resurrected his career in Baltimore. And how about 19 and a half sacks in 28 games played as a Raven thus far? Eric DeCosta, take a bow. They took a chance on him. He was on the couch, as he so often puts it, early last year prior to the London game. And from that point forward, he and Jadeveon Clowney were a force last year. Jadeveon leaves in free agency to Carolina. KVN gets a multi-year deal, and certainly proving the Ravens right in just about every capacity. This is a team-friendly guy, a locker room guy, a presence, and obviously somebody who has helped bolster their outside linebackers room. Congratulations to 53. What a feat. Well, I look forward to tracking down this specific audio from sideline reporter Aaron Andrews yesterday, but I thought our guy Jason Smith from Huddle It Up Film summarized it well. And that was what she had to say about Roquan Smith. She mentioned that Roquan complimented Kyle Hamilton, as pretty much everyone's been doing, and said that he takes pressure off of him. He also said he had to communicate behind him to the secondary before Kyle took over. And Jason's like, wow, Marcus. Just wow. And I really wanted to bring this up because Roquan Smith has drawn quite a bit of criticism this year, from myself included, which may very well have led to him unfollowing me on Instagram. If that's the case, he obviously has a right to do so. And I get it. I do get it. Sarah and I were privileged to have him on the show all of last year, once a week. And you hope that time can come again. But sometimes you have to call it like you see it. And what we were watching from our vantage point was a guy who looked like he was a half step behind. Looked like he was a little slow at times, particularly when it comes to the underneath pass coverage. But what we also did mention was that maybe, just maybe, he had a whole lot on his plate with a new running mate in Trenton Simpson, who was drinking from the fire hose, with the all-pro player Patrick Queen no longer being there, and clearly there being a drop-off, with the instability on the back end, Marcus Williams and Eddie Jackson struggling severely over a month ago now. Obviously, both are no longer a part of this organization in two different ways. Eddie just isn't anymore, and Marcus has just been a healthy scratch now for weeks. But since Trenton was demoted, which gave Chris Board and or Malik Harrison opportunities, and since Kyle Hamilton and Ardarius Washington were named starting running mates on the back end as deep safeties, you have seen a Roquan Smith that's reminiscent of what we've grown accustomed to watching over the last couple of years. And I don't think that's a coincidence. Bengals put the finishing touches, final score 24-6 over Cleveland. Cincy improves to 7-8, remain in the playoff picture. And now they need a little bit more help, and they need to win out and get some help from across the league. As loud as we were, again, deservedly so, when Roquan was struggling, we can be just as loud and just as fair and talk about how much was on his plate, and talk about how maybe, just maybe, the Ravens hung him out to dry, given the situation that they were in, personnel-wise. He's hung in tough. He's never complained once. And I think he deserves a lot of credit for all of that and more. How easy would it have been in his various media sessions to make it clear? Marlon Humphreys pretty much made it clear throughout times this year. all but pointing the finger at guys like Marcus Williams. But don't look now. Entering week 17, it seems as if there's a certain level of stability right now within this organization among all three phases. And I know we probably need a little bit more confidence to see Justin Tucker turn a corner. He did hit from 51 yesterday. We're going to get to him in just a bit, but you want to see more, right? You want to see a bigger sample size to make you feel like he's all the way back. But there is this growing sense that this is a team that's peaking at the right time. This is a team that is healthy. And this is a team that's poised to make a lot of noise over the course of the next month as they chase a Lombardi trophy. And they are officially in the postseason. I mentioned Justin Tucker. Until yesterday, because of the bye week and because of not needing to during the Giants game, he had not attempted a field goal try since December 1st in the Eagles game. That changed yesterday, and he drilled a 51-yarder in the first half. And I would imagine that was a really, really satisfying feeling for him. What we also saw, and we've seen now in recent weeks, is that some of his workload has been taken off his plate. One of those areas is kickoff duties. Jordan Stout, young player, punter, placeholder, can also do a little bit of kicking. And he has handled some kickoff duties in recent weeks. And Justin Tucker was asked about that post-game, courtesy of Ravens Productions last night.
Competitor, I want to be out there all the time. And I think everybody around me knows that, starting with Harbs and Randy and Chris and Sam and Jordan and Nick. But at the exact same time, Jordan's got a cannon for a leg. So, if there's a time where it's going to be tougher to drive the ball and get the distance, like for example, today, like the Jordan had the one kickoff that sailed out of the back of the end zone, going to the right of our bench, into a pretty significant headwind. And do I feel like I could do that? Like, yeah, I'd probably be able to connect on the ball like 1 out of every 5 to 7 of them and get it to travel like that. But Jordan does have this ability to hammer the ball. So, if that gives us the best opportunity to spot the ball on the 30-yard line, then I'm all for it. Like I want as much as I want to be out there for every single play. I'd play quarterback if they let me, but I think that job is pretty much taken. I think that one's pretty much spoken for. But just as a competitor, I want to be out there for every single rep possible. But as a teammate, I want to see us succeed. As a Raven, I want to see the Ravens win, and that's what's important to me.
Good to see like a morale boost there for Justin. Kind of feels like he's in a holiday spirit, chipper mood. But you heard him there. I think it was a really admirable way of putting it here when asked about Jordan Stout handling kickoff duties at times in recent weeks. Quote, as a competitor, I want to be out there all the time. Jordan does have this ability to hammer the ball. He's got a big leg. John Harbaugh was asked about it last night as well. If that gives us the best opportunity to spot the ball on the 30-yard line, then I'm all for it. As a competitor, I want to be out there for every single rep possible. But as a teammate, I want to see us succeed. As a Raven, I want to see the Ravens win, and that's what's important to me. Why does it feel like Justin's turned a corner? This bye week, I continue to believe, has set up so nicely for the Ravens. Not only did they have to sit there and absorb the stink of that loss to the Philadelphia Eagles, not only was the Giants essentially a multiple bye week opportunity, meaning a 2-week bye, but they have allowed themselves to get healthy physically, mentally, so on and so forth. And it just feels like this is setting up really nicely for this team. And obviously, Justin is a Raven, a lifelong Raven, a future Hall of Famer through and through, handling things throughout this entire process with class, addressing it head on, and moving forward. I got a lot of respect for Justin Tucker, and the Ravens are absolutely going to need him down the stretch if they want to make this run. Kushernada hit me with a super chat earlier on and writes me, this was the type of win Lamar needed to hush all the Josh Allen MVP chatter. The Ravens needed to not just win, but run away with it. We'll need to do the same to Houston and Cincinnati to get Lamar MV3. Yeah, I don't know if it was exactly what they needed, but it certainly was a solid performance from Lamar. Was it MVP-like? When Derrick Henry goes for 162, it's hard to say that. But Lamar's sheer presence alone obviously opens up a ton of opportunities for Derrick. So both things can be true. I still think entering week 17, we have to see what Josh Allen and the Bills do today. Again, it's a very soft schedule for Buffalo down the stretch. They'll play the Patriots today, then the Jets, and then the Patriots again. So not exactly marquee matchups. I mean, New England's 3-11. The Jets are having a losing season. Both teams are eliminated from postseason contention and have been for multiple weeks. But absolutely, it's still within reach. And if for whatever reason the Bills falter a little bit, that door will crack open even more. And then it starts to get even more interesting. Some snap count observations, as tweeted by Jeff Zarebek, looked like this. Justice Hill, of course, was taken out of the game because of concussion protocol after really meeting up with the turf in scary fashion. I hope Justice is doing okay. Can't imagine he's going to be ready to go by Wednesday and or cleared. I could be wrong on that. If that's the case, expect Derek, Rasheen, and Keaton to be the 3 active running backs on Christmas Day. Rashad Bateman, the foot injury, no impact whatsoever on his workload. Not one defensive snap logged for Trenton Simpson. Malik Harrison and Chris Board handled that. Board started. Malik came in on a rotation basis. And Kyle Van Noy, again, gave them a lot. Was very productive in 34 snaps. Since David's here, David, I got to have a little bit of fun with you. Where was Devontae Walker, brother? I thought Tez was supposed to follow up that performance. The one thing I don't like about this bit is that I know some of you are going to put words in my mouth and assume that I don't like Devontae Walker. I absolutely love Devontae, and I hope the best for him. But to have expected him to come be something after the Giants' performance, his first catch, his first touchdown, I thought was very, very premature. And yesterday showed you why. Let's see. Let me take a close look at this. Devontae logged 9 snaps on offense. That's 15%. And 21 on special teams. That was 78% of those snaps. I thought David Ajabo, just to kind of give some honorable mentions here, was productive. He played 13 snaps defensively, which was just 22%, and 4 on special teams for, 15%. But I thought David was bringing it. In the stat sheet, it doesn't necessarily show you that, just a tackle and a quarterback hit. But he looked like he was getting some pressure on Russell Wilson. He was up for Adisa Isaac, the rookie out of Penn State, was a healthy scratch, but nice to see David playing some impactful football and finding his way through the tackles. Brandon Stevens, 56% of the defensive snaps. 93% of the defensive snaps with 56. So his role has not been diminished whatsoever. What about Tre'Davious White? That's one that I was looking for. Where is T. White? I know he got banged up. I'll be curious to see how he comes out of that game. Okay, 13 defensive snaps, which was 22%. So not a lot of Tre'Davious. Adafe had a light night. 33 defensive snaps, which is 55%. Really liked what I saw from Justin Madubuike. And, of course, the guys that are playing 100% of the defensive snaps are Darius, Roquan, and Kyle. That checks out. Nice to see, though, that Rashad Bateman wasn't really limited whatsoever. The toe drag touchdown, a lot of snaps logged, just days prior to, of course, or I should say days removed from showing up. Holy shit, sorry, excuse my French, but Washington just took the lead. or took the lead a little while ago, and now Philadelphia is lining up a 50-yard attempt. I was so locked in on this stream. What the hell's been going on in the Washington game? I thought the Eagles had this thing wrapped up. Wow. Oh, wow. Okay. Jaden Daniels connected on a 49-yard touchdown pass. Man, I thought Bo Nix was going to give him a run for Rookie of the Year. Jaden might be running away with it. So Jake Elliott makes from 50, and now you're going to give Jaden Daniels an opportunity for a signature moment in an in-division game. It's 28-27. Excuse me, it was 28-27. It's 30-28 now, Philadelphia, thanks to that Jake Elliott field goal. So that's shaping up to be quite a finish there down south of us in Landover. Saquon Barkley has 153 rushing yards on 28 carries, 2 touchdowns. What an absolute beast he is. He's running away with that rushing title. Okay, so Jalen Hurts left due to a concussion. Have you guys been watching this game? Because clearly I haven't been watching it close enough, but I believe that's what's happened. So Kenny Pickett's played the majority of this game, right? Looks like that's the case. Wow. That is a huge deal. That is a very, very big deal. Okay. Well, that's going to be a hell of a finish. And the reason why I'm watching it closely is because of the... Let's just get this. I'm really curious to see if Derek's going to give Saquon a run for his money here for the rushing title, but it sure looks like, Saquon's going to run away with this thing. So entering today, Saquon had 1,688. So you can tack on, let's see here, tack on 153 to that and counting. Now, this is probably Washington's final possession. Philadelphia may not get it back. So 150-plus yard rushing day, that puts him comfortably in the lead. So here you go. Under 4 minutes to go for Jaden Daniels and company. Let's see if the Commanders can come up with some heroics, much like they've done quite often this year. That'll be a fun watch. Matter of fact, I'm going to go watch that myself. I'm going to pop out of here, guys. I appreciate you for joining me. Thanks to Preston Automotive Group for sponsoring this episode. If you'd like to donate to the channel, you can do so through Venmo or Cash App or the YouTube Super Chat feature. By the way, let me remind you that you have until tomorrow, and I'll show you right now up on the screen, to enter my giveaway. Hi, Sophia. Worked the Olympics with her. She's great. Right here. Would love for you guys to join my giveaway for 2 free tickets to the regular season finale. Holy shit. Oh, okay. That was on a replay. I can't do 2 things at once. I thought Jaden Daniels converted another touchdown pass, but that was just the 49-yarder from a minute ago. Of course, I got the multi-view on right now, so there's a lot happening. Anyway, Commanders trying to march down the field and win this game. But all you have to do is follow me, follow at Preston Automotive Group, my sponsor, tag a friend in the comments of this post right here. And that is literally it. That enters you in for a chance to win tickets. And if you don't know where to go, I just dropped the link into the live chat. Again, it is just at Bobby Baltimore on Instagram. Some of you were saying that there was a pick. Did Jaden Daniels throw a pick? Oh, you got to be kidding me. He threw a pick. Philadelphia wins, improves to 13-2. Oh, man, that's such a bummer. How many timeouts these guys got left? There's still 2:53 left. There's a lot of time. 2:53 left. But they've all but won this one. So anyway, if you guys want to enter in, I would love for you to do so. At Bobby Baltimore. Appreciate Preston Automotive Group for the continued support that they give me. And I appreciate all of you more than you know. Thanks for hanging out for the Bobby After. What do we call it again? Bobby Late Night? Or Bobby After Hours? Whatever the hell it was. Bobby Darkness? Anyway, I actually got a really funny text today. And I'll finish here. I dropped it into the Discord channel earlier today. Some of you, I think, saw it. But would love for you guys to join the Bobby Baltimore Discord server if you haven't already done so. It's a 24/7 hub for conversations surrounding Baltimore sports and a fun community. There's just constant chatter in here. We talk football, baseball, general stuff, my dating life, so on and so forth. But take a look at this. My aunt texted me this today. Hey, sitting with some friends of yours at Papa's. How old are you? And how did you hook up with Sarah Ellison? So I tell her. She goes, my friends have listened to you. Or my friends were listening. She botched this text, but saying that they were listening to me at 11:45 last night. Heard you were drinking wine and talking about your dating life. It was their first experience with Bobby after game wine party. Love you, guy. At Tim's and Mags till tomorrow. Have a great Christmas. She's probably mortified. She's like, wait, you do Bobby after hours and drink wine at the same time? What could possibly go wrong? Oh, I love Aunt Kate. That is a classic text. So anyway, would love for you guys to join the Discord if you haven't already. And yes, the world class, you can call me Bobby Wine. Bobby Wine. The wine and dine guy. Appreciate you guys. Enjoy the rest of your non-Ravens Sundays. Sarah and I'll be back with you, of course, 12 noon Eastern tomorrow. The Ravens are actually at practice right now. They have a 4 o'clock practice. Talk about a quick turnaround. Media availability will also be tonight. And it looks like the late afternoon walkthrough practice report just came out. So I should probably do this real quick. Looks like I tried to end this thing a little bit too prematurely. So let me do this, huh? Let's do this and this and this and then this. Here's the practice report, injury report. Again, it's just a late afternoon walkthrough. Nelson Aguilar remains in concussion protocol. Jalen Armour-Davis down with a hamstring. Bo Braid, he popped up with a shoulder, limited. That's a new one. Fa'alele with a knee, DNP. Zay Flowers popped up. That's a new one with a shoulder. Justice Hill, still in concussion protocol. And a couple other new ones as well. Linderbaum with a back and Tre'Davious White with a shoulder. So lots of DNPs on here. Several new names, including Linderbaum, White, Flowers, and Braid. And so this starts to get really interesting on a short week. This is going to be a war of attrition. And I think this is probably one of the many reasons why there's a lot of people around the league that are not happy with the NFL's decision to make multiple teams play 3 games in 11 days. They still have a couple days to get themselves right, but there is a travel day in there as well. So just keep that in mind. This is the late afternoon practice report. It's a walkthrough. Hopefully a lot of this is just precautionary because of the short week. Not going to make too much out of it. But the guys that remain in concussion protocol probably have it hardest given the sensitive nature that come with that type of injury. All right, so those are my thoughts on that. We'll follow it more. And of course, Sarah and I will get to it and provide you anything else that we know starting tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern. I believe media availability, by the way, will be later tonight. And to be precise, it's going to be a 5:30 podium with John Harbaugh, followed by open locker room. So just so you know, Harbaugh's at the podium at 5:30, followed by open locker room. Monday, a 1:40 p.m. practice time, followed by Harbaugh, Lamar, and others, 3:30. And then there's no media availability on Tuesday because they got to travel to Houston for this Christmas Day game. All right? Good stuff. Glad I fit that in. Glad you guys could be with me. Enjoy the rest of your days. Please click on that link to go learn more about Preston Automotive Group on the way out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Like the video if you haven't. And hit that notification bell. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.